Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. I'm also a mom, and my kids go to School of Science and Technology in San Antonio. My son is at the SST main campus, and my daughter goes to SST Alamo. And I'm so lucky that I have one of her teachers on the show today to talk about what he does. So our guest is Brandon J. Ballard, but everybody calls him Mr. B. So I'm calling him Mr. B for the rest of the show. And he is a technology education teacher at School of Science and Technology Alamo, or SST Alamo. And I love having teachers as guests on the blog. So there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to the guest post that he wrote. I love sharing what teachers are doing, because there are amazing teachers in charter schools here in San Antonio, and they're making a difference for kids like my daughter and thousands of kids across San Antonio. So, Mr. B, thank you so much for writing a guest post and for being a guest on Charter Moms Chats.
Thank you for having me.
So, I wanted to ask you, kind of like, how did you become connected to the SST Alamo family?
Well, it was kind of interesting thing. My wife and myself were trying to find a school that we can get my daughter into that was a kind of in follow up from her coming from her pre-K school, because she went to pre-K for SA, and we liked the way that the school was structured and stuff. So we did a lot of searching for different schools, and then there was the open enrollment event that took place. So we attended there, and one of the ladies that was hosting it, she happened to be also a parent for SST Alamo at the time as well. So she was, telling us a lot about the school and everything. So my wife and myself decided to, make a trip over to the school to see what it was about. And just instantly, like, the camaraderie that we saw amongst the teachers, how the teachers were when it came to educating with the kids, just their communication style and stuff with the kids was something that I personally liked. And my wife had her own little things, but my big things was like the interaction with the kids and everything that the teachers had. So we made a decision, let's try it out and see how we like it. But one thing that me and my wife also are real big on is kind of let my daughter be involved in decisions for things for herself. So we let her try it out for the first couple of days, and just talk to her constantly to see how she liked it. And she was like, she loved it. She was able to express herself the way that she wanted to. So we just kept going from there. So that's how we first got introduced to SST as a whole, into the Alamo campus.
Yeah, so you joined SST Alamo as a family,
Yes.
with your daughter as a student. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so and then you made the transition to becoming a teacher at
Yes.
SST Alamo. So how did that happen?
So actually, it happened with me first getting involved as a teacher's aide. The former principal, Miss James. I had an interview with her. She, set me down. Her main question that she wanted to know from me at my interview was, what is it that I could bring to the school? What type of interactions would I have with the kids? And my explanation to her is, I would treat the kids no different than I would treat my own child, and I guess she loved it. So she hired me on as an aide. And I worked my first 2 years here at the school as an aide. Coming into this school term, the present principal, Mr. Ballard, he approached me at the end of last year and asked me if I wanted to get a raise, so to speak, change positions, and be one of the be one of the technology teachers here at the school. And I took the opportunity to do that. So that's how I ended up in the position now, as being a teacher, being a technology teacher for the PLTW program that we have here at the school. Well, Project Lead the Way, for the abbreviation for PLTW.
Yeah. So, okay, so what do you like about, teaching Project Lead the Way, which, of course, everyone calls it PLTW, but
Yes.
if anyone's trying to Google it, it's it's Project Lead the Way, PLTW.
So my focus for Project Lead the Way, and is what I developed when I was taking the courses over the summer. My focus for Project Lead the Way, and the way that I see that it is beneficial, is to get the kids to see how technology is just not a computer, it's not a phone, it's not just electronics. Technology is literally everything that's around us. For example, like example I use with the kids, walking, we used to walk just in sandals at one point in time. Then, someone was tired of getting their foot stubbed on something, so they develop a way to come up with something that can cover your whole foot. And here's how we transition into having shoes now. Here's a piece of technology from one point to another, and helping them to understand that the definition behind technology is not, again, electronics. The definition behind technology is basically anything that we utilize to make our lives a little bit easier from what it used to be. So that was my approach to get them to understand that in the beginning. My furthermore approach into it is helping them to understand, or to develop, I need to say, helping them to develop their critical thinking skills. And if they already have a set level of critical thinking skills, to build up on that level, getting them to see how, things in this course can be applied to almost every class that they have here at the school. Not only that they have here at the school, but how this can apply to them going forward when they, get out of school, start getting into the real world, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Look, and something you mentioned in your, or you touched on in your blog post, is talking about the students' creativity and their critical thinking. And I
Yes,
like how you describe technology, like it's way more than just electronics and
yes,
coding. And they do teach coding at
yes, yes, we do.
SST,
Yes, we do.
but it's broader than that, because
Yes.
it's about problem solving. So I don't, can you kind of elaborate more about
So
how to, yeah, the creativity?
So,
Yeah.
like, one of the first projects that I'll go with my sixth grade class. One of the first projects they were introduced to was building a foot orthos. So with that project, they were introduced to a patient. Patient was between the age of 9 and 12 years old. We went through the whole explanation of what cerebral palsy, because that's what the child had. Went through the whole explanation of cerebral palsy, helped them to understand what cerebral palsy was, helped them to understand how this disease affect the kids. From there, they had to come up with their own design for building a foot orthos, which, if certain people don't know what orthos is basically like if you saw somebody with a broken foot and they're wearing a boot, that's basically a foot orthos. So they had to come up with their own type of design for the foot orthos. And throughout that project, it was real interesting to see how the kids were engaged, how much they put how much thought and planning they actually put into it. We went through several steps to where they were placed in groups. In the groups, what I had them do was and typically compete against each other to see who in the group could have the best sketch design. Then we sat down. I sat down with the groups, kind of like in a managerial position, kind of thing, like this was a business. Talked about, here's the hiccups here, here's the hiccups here, here's how this may work, here's how this may not be so effective. And then we pushed on from there. Then went into building a prototype, which we used little materials like cardboard boxes, tape, styrofoams, and stuff like that, so they can build their actual model. And then at the end, we had someone in the group actually present the model to the whole class, so they actually you tried it on, show how to put it on, take it off, the comfortability of it, if it was or not, this, that, and the third. And another thing that I liked about the whole presentation, like the kids really were engaged and having feedback amongst each other. Certain groups were saying, "Oh man, we should have did that." Damn, how I was thinking about doing that and this, so. And it was just exciting to see, and for me it was more exciting because this was my actual first time actually getting here and teaching kids, and just seeing, just to see how my engagement with them, my explanation to them, how I was delivering the information to them, how they were absorbing the information and applying, the things that I was giving to them.
Yeah. Well, that's a great. Oh, I should mention there's actually a photo of the different foot orthos that the kids made. It's in the blog post. So, because I got to see that on the school tour back in September. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
So, if anyone's wondering, like, what does a foot ortho look like made by kids?
yes,
So, you can see the sixth grade version in the.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. But no, that's a great explanation of like the different steps in the process, and then how like that kind of like project based learning gets kids really excited and engaged. They feel really invested in what they've created, and like they've kind of struggled against themselves, like trying to do the problem solving.
yes. And then like I could touch real quick basis because I just remember I have a model of something that my third graders are building right now. So we did the story of they were a tiger getting stuck in a moat at the zoo. So like the kids have to come up with a way to build a device to help save the tiger out of the moat. So one of the devices that I have here that my
Ah,
third graders built.
look at that. Is that wait, it's not Lego. It's like a set where it's got pieces that kind of stick together.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we have this engineering Lego kind of thing. It's called a Vex kit that the kids use. We went through the whole application of learning about simple machines. So like a pulley, um, incline planes, and things
Yeah,
like that. So
levers. Yeah.
yes. So, we went on learn about that stuff first and then went into the story again. Went over the story first, had them understand what was the issue. Um, Went over the different type of simple machines and then went over the story again and then applied, certain things from the stories to how they could build. So, first I had them build incline planes on so they can understand how to manipulate the vet kit and stuff like that. Then moving on from there, hey, so now how would you go by saving the tiger? One idea that I will give to you is, building something that can reach down into the pit, maybe grabbing the tiger, but make sure that you're being safe with whatever you're building to reach down into the pit. You don't want anything to be around the tiger's neck, anything that's going to cause them harm, something maybe that the tiger itself can fit in, or something that can just go around their waist or something like that. And from there, like you just saw, like the third graders doesn't just, oh, I think we can do this and I think we can do that, well, let's try this and let's try that. And it was kind of rough because as kids at that age, like everybody wants to do their thing, so I had to sit down with them and explain, like, this is a team building activity. So let's do this as a team. How can we apply this as a team? Let's go over each other's ideas. Let's sketch out each other's plan. Let's talk about each other's plan. From there, let's apply to see who's actually weighs out the best. So just given, even with the third grade, starting their critical thinking now, starting that conflict resolution, solving those problem solving skills, starting them off now. So when they, it makes it easier for them when they transition on to the next grade. Me personally, being a third grade teacher and being a sixth grade teacher, I feel as if I'm in the best two positions that any teacher can be in. For third grade, they're transitioning from being what is known as babies into being actual kids. And for sixth grade, they're transitioning to their teens. So I am the gateway for them to see the world differently. So I passionately engage with them when it comes to these things. I want to make sure that they're have this certain understanding for themselves, and when they moving forward, let the just having them to understand that everything is not black and blue. you know you're going to make mistakes, how to overcome these mistakes. You're going to face these problems. Here's how we can solve these problems, the different kind of ways that you can engage to solve these problems. And like my main thing that I get on all of them about is not quitting, not giving up. If this didn't work, let's go back to the drawing board with it. Where did you make a mistake, where do you feel as if your mistake is? Now let's go on from there. Like, how do you think that we can improve from here? You know?
Yeah. So okay, that was a great, you know, explanation about like examples of like the creativity, the critical thinking, and I thought it was really important how you talked about the teamwork aspect and the like just keep trying, don't quit, try again, and
Yes.
especially the teamwork and the keep trying makes me think about your background as a United States Marine. And I was
Yes.
wondering if you could talk about like sort of like how like that experience in your life gave you this foundation for being a teacher, with these third graders and these sixth graders.
Yeah, yeah. When I first started this, that was the first question that my wife asked me too. Like, how are you going to get in there and engage with them? Fortunately for me, I've had a lot of people in my life that are been good mentors for myself. Um, so when I first learned that I was going to get this teaching position, I fell back on one of my mentors, someone that I used to be under when I was at the University at Cardinal Word, and I sat down and talked with him, just as try to get some kind of guidance or lead where how I should approach this. And I think the best piece of information I got from him, he said, just look at it as like when you were in the Marine Corps and you got that first batch of new Marines, you had to take the time to train them. He said, just have that kind of mindset. Here you have a fresh minds. How are you going to take the knowledge that you already currently have and how are you going to apply that? So, when I started looking at it from that perspective, and it's kind of not as different from getting new Marines in, because is like anything. Like if you approach a new job, you're going to be like the new kid there. So as a new kid, you're going to try to find out everything you need to find out, everything you need to learn. And it's always good if you have somebody there that's that mentor. If you have somebody there that's a teacher that can take you under their wing or just give you the guidance to send you down the right path. And from that aspect, like my approach with the kids is, yes, my title is a teacher, but my approach to the kids is more like I'm a mentor in the same, and I let them know like, hey, there's a difference, but there's not a difference. What for me, I want to do this not just as a teacher, but I want to mentor y'all into this. So that's my approach with it. That's the approach that's my background from the military that I thought that was more feasible for me to bring when it came to me having this teacher's position.
Yeah, I think having had good mentors in the past that gave you kind of a roadmap for how to be a good mentor to your students at SST Alamo.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay. Well, so I want to cover like some nuts and bolts. I hope that folks, watching this video or folks who read the blog post are like, this SST, this sounds like a good place. So I'm going to share some of the practical information about how they can apply. But and then I'm going to come back to you just kind of for closing thoughts, and then we'll wind up. So, okay. So for folks who want to learn more about School of Science and Technology Alamo, actually we have an enrollment guide blog post on our site, and you can click through to that. If you read Mr. B's guest post, it's got a link to our enrollment guide. If you just want to go straight to the SST website, it's sstschools.org, and the application is apply.sstTX.org, and they are currently having open enrollment through February 2022. So the lottery is going to be in February. I don't have the exact date, but the best thing to do is the application is really quick. So if you think it's the right thing for your kid or you're curious, go ahead and get the application in and then keep doing more research. And they do school tours. That's a great way to get to know what's going on at the campus. You can ask to see the makerspace or see the labs. All right.
Also to add into that, because I know that we do school tours over the weekend too, so that they can set something up with the school and they can have a tour on the weekend. Like they made it to where parents can be they made it more accessible for parents.
Yeah, I know. And for a while there, folks couldn't even visit campus as much because COVID wasn't safe. But thank goodness everybody mask up, backs up, go get on campus and and see for yourself. what's happening, because the technology classes, like what Mr. B teaches, that's something that's a strength at the School of Science and Technology, and that's how the kids get to develop their creativity and their critical thinking, is through classes like that. So, well, Mr. B, I think you covered all the great stuff from your guest post, and I really appreciate you sharing the stories about the tiger picker upper from the moat. I mean, how amazing, like what the third graders are making that. Like
Yes.
at SST, even young kids, I mean, even the pre-K kids get to do STEM activities.
Yes.
So do you have any other thoughts you want to share before we wrap up the video?
No, not that I can really think of. I think I think I've, I know myself. If I get on the roll, I'll be rolling, and we'll be here for hours. So
Okay. Well, this has been great. I'm really happy. It was, I remember coming on the school tour and getting to visit the makerspace, and, all the prototypes that the kids were making. And I just remember thinking, like, okay, this is amazing. I need to share this with the broader community, because you're doing really good work at SST Alamo. I know my
yes,
daughter loves your class,
yeah,
and there's great stuff happening at SST. So I hope more
yeah,
families will give it a look.
yeah. I know. I'm hyped up from when we get into next semester. So the next semester, the sixth graders we're doing this thing about a flight to Mars. So yeah, I want to give too much away. But yeah, it's the things that I've learned, and to how to apply it to the kids and get them to learn it too is going to be like real interesting. Like, yeah, this is like so much. And there's one thing I do would like to add. Like one of the great things that I do like about the PLTW course, the Project Lead the Way course, is that what each way, each project and each lesson that we cover, the way that the course is built like a Lego. So each course builds on each other. It's not like you're going to learn lesson one and then you won't be able to apply anything from lesson one until you get to lesson 14. Like, no, lesson one goes all the way into the next lesson. Every lesson it builds on each other, and even when we move into the next semester and we start working with the flight and space, things that we're doing with the flight and space part of it will lead back into things that they learned into the first semester. And that's one thing I like about the Project Lead the Way. Another thing is how the kids can actually see, because on almost every lesson has a career connection to what they're learning in that lesson. So, the kids can already start to see how these things actually do apply. It's just not something that they're sitting and reading. It's just not a teacher just up here pointing and saying, do this and do that. Like, no, like these are actual things that can apply in the real world. And it gives them that opportunity at the age that they are now, as young as they are now, to already start building on their dreams. So that's one of the, well, two
Yeah.
of the major
Yeah.
big things that I like about this Project Lead the Way course.
Yeah, the career connection part, like that comes through, because we talk about it at the dinner table at home. Both my kids they come home with ideas, and they start asking us about, how does that work? How does that work? And
Yes.
they're getting excited, and that's exactly what they needed after I feel like the pandemic closed a lot of doors and
Yes.
canceled a lot of stuff, and now they're excited about the future and like what they're going to be able to get to do when they're grown-ups, with all the stuff that they're learning while they're at SST.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, great. Okay. Well, Mr. B, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on campus
Yes, ma'am.
sooner or later. So, all right. Take care.
All right. You have a wonderful day.